Hey everyone, and welcome to Are We Doing This? I'm Lauren Parajon.
And I'm Lauren Butler.
We're two millennial moms on the brink of 40, looking for new ways to shake things up.
We're here to challenge ourselves, each other, and you to get out of our comfort zones and try something new.
So if you've caught yourself wondering, what's next? You're in the right spot.
So are we doing this?
Looks like it. Let's get into it.
Hey guys, and welcome back to Are We Doing This? Today we are having a special new episode called Are We Best Friends Now? And we have a new best friend to introduce you to, right, Lauren?
She's one of my previous best friends, but now she's going to be your best friend.
Yeah, we just get to share all of our best friends with you guys.
But before we do that, we should probably just do a little catch up. It is June. It is summer. It's not summer vacation for you yet, but
no,
we are deep into the first week of summer, and we are surviving and thriving, I would say. So that's exciting. But what did you get up to last week?
Oh, what did we do? It's just been busy we're still in the very end of the year stuff, getting ready for our field day, which hopefully isn't as violent as yours.
I hope it's much better than ours.
And yeah, we're just kind of getting geared up for school to be out. We don't have too much longer, so that should be good. Okay. And nice. I've been doing my fitness challenge, which has been really fun.
Remind everybody what yours is.
Okay, so I'm doing a ChatGPT created, Are We Moving This? Just fun ways to incorporate movement into every single day. And so some days are easier than others, some days are harder, some days are more silly. So today I had to dance to have a solo dance party to a throwback song. So I put on some old college early
got down,
hits and danced.
Was
in the
it
kitchen.
Lil Jon?
I mean, there was.
Okay,
are you shocked?
You have to have Lil Jon.
There was some Usher. There was some Lil Jon. Who else was in there? Some Rihanna.
Nice.
Some old Beyonce. Anyway, it was really good.
It's a fun way to move.
But then the other night I just did a 10-minute walk outside, which was great too. And then
we're moving.
Yeah, we're doing it. So I'm just trying to incorporate movement every day, which has been good. How about you?
I love it.
You're doing wall Pilates?
Yeah, wall Pilates. It's only day 3, but I will say is because I had this mentality of 15 minutes, I'm not even gonna get sweaty.
Yeah.
I was incorrect. I've been sweaty 3 days now. It is awesome. Surprisingly, I think it's because it's just go, go, go. You do a certain move for 30 seconds and then you have 10 seconds where they explain the next move. But I'm well, when do I catch my breath? Because that hasn't happened yet. So I'm really enjoying it. I actually feel like it's very good for mobility. I'm just moving my hips and my body in a way that I would never do. So I'm hoping that will help with there are times where I'll be sitting at my computer for a while and then I'll get up and oh my God, my knees take a while to straighten, my hips hurt. So I think it'll be really good for mobility, but I'm happy with it. It's only day 3, but I am sticking to it. We're doing this.
That's awesome. Well, I was a little extra actually with mine because just you talking about your hips and pain and being older. I was extra because we just joined a new gym. That's my summer plan to take my kids to this gym because they have a pool. And, I'm just, when you first join a gym, you're I'm going to work out.
All excited.
And you're all excited. And so I guess I was riding that excitement and I went to one of their classes and it was called Max Cardio, which probably should have been my first sign that I should have gone.
The way I would have walked out the door and never gone back to that gym, just seeing the name of that. And you just did it.
I just did it cold.
That's insane.
Because y'all know, well, maybe you don't know, but I'm pretty out of shape. I haven't really been doing, I have been dipping my toe in Pilates. I've been trying that, but not real consistently. And so I'm on the cardio side, I'm pretty rusty. And I was just let's just go to this Max Cardio class for an hour.
No.
It was awful. It was burpees. It was jumping lunges. And then in between sets, it was basically HIIT. In between sets, she would make us go run a lap. I was
no.
What?
When am I supposed to breathe?
There was no breathing. Right. She never stopped for a water break. I stopped for my own water break.
Yeah.
That's what I was no.
Aren't you shocked that they can do that and speak, and tell you what you're doing while they're doing that?
Are you still speaking?
I don't
and there was jumping, and it was a lot, and so I kind of just survived it. But one of the other things I realized, I don't know if you've had this experience, but okay, if I in my early 30s or my late 20s had gotten out of shape and then cold turkey went back to an intense class like that, I'd be sore. But
but
I'd
now
recover. But now it was the end of that day, I was
I need a
wiped. I went to
wheelchair.
bed at like 8. Seriously, I had to like roll out my IT band for
Yeah.
like the next 2 days.
Yeah.
I was like, my back, I was like, did I actually throw it out or am I just sore? Like, this is actually, anyway, just to say that like, I think like warming up and like actually
Yeah.
drinking lots of water is
Yeah.
like critical now that we're
Well, you dove
old.
right in the deep end. You should not do
That
that.
was so silly. But like you forget because when you're
Yeah.
younger, you can kind of do that. You can kind of just
Yeah.
like start diving back in the deep end again and, you know, be
Not
fine.
anymore.
No, now it's like a
No.
week recovery. Jesus.
Oh Lord. Yeah, I did
Burpees.
go to both. Well, both. I didn't go yet. I went to kickboxing today with my sister. We put our kids in the daycare, and then we immediately went to the pool after that with the
Amazing.
kids. So and the kids are already asking if we can go again. So I'm like, thank God that worked out. So I'm
Yay.
hoping, and I think that since I'm doing the Pilates challenge, the wall Pilates, it's making me feel like, all right, like I'm moving again. Now I should get momentum and start doing a little more. And
Gateway
then-
drug.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully I'll get back into moving. And then I've kind of been
Awesome.
like, all right, I can cake after, because I'm solo parenting this week. My husband's in Chicago on a business trip. So I'm trying to figure out this balance of the kids are home. I want to do fun stuff with them, make sure they're having fun. I also have a ton of cakes to do. And I want to work out, and I have a little bit of social media stuff to do. So I am currently trying to figure all that out. But it's only Tuesday,
tough.
but we're doing it, and they're having fun, and all the stuff is mostly baked. So hopefully I'll get all the
Yeah.
cakes done this week. So
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Do you have
Yeah.
a busy cake week this week?
it's not crazy busy, but there are some. Somebody wants my friend Callie for her husband. They don't listen to this, do they? It's a surprise party, so hopefully not. I doubt he does. Anyway, they want a cake that looks exactly like his Jeep.
Oh,
And
fun.
that is
That
beyond
sounds
my
hard.
skill level. Like I don't do
Ooh.
mold like formed shaped cakes.
Yeah.
Like I'm more of a
Yeah, yeah.
round stacked cake. So
Yeah.
I'm experimenting with knocking that out. We'll see
Oh,
how it
wow.
goes. I feel like I'm
Okay.
going to regret it, but so that's going to take up most of my Thursday, I feel
Yeah.
like.
Okay.
So preparing for
Are
that.
there
But yeah, then I just,
YouTube, is there good like tutorials
there's
out there
a
for stuff
lot
like
of
that?
tutorials, but like I don't know. I was searching for some and I couldn't find any yet because it's like also based on the size pan you use. Anyway, I'm trying to figure out a way to make it easier, but it'll be fine.
It'll be
fine.
great.
Yeah,
You
it'll be
always
great.
do great work. And you
We'll
have to
see
figure
about
out new
this
stuff
one.
all the time.
Yep. It's
Yep.
exciting. Okay, let's get into this interview because Jen is a friend of mine from Texas. She just does it all. So, like, if you're interested in starting your own business, no matter what it is, but also if you're interested in photography, flower arranging, or event planning, she can just talk for days about it. And I learned so much. We just talked to her a second ago. I learned so much about all these things that I didn't even know I was curious about. And then I was like, wait, I need to know
Yeah.
all the ins and outs of this. So I think it was really fun.
Yeah, it was just a really cool conversation. Jen is just a really fun person, and she certainly is like someone who is super passionate, and so you can
Yes.
see that comes through in everything she does, which is so fun.
Yes, so
So
fun.
yeah, excited to share it with you.
Okay, so this week we're thrilled to welcome a true creative powerhouse to the podcast, Jen Gayden. Jen is the owner of Vivian James Events, a Fort Worth-based company that brings together her three greatest passions: event planning, photography, and all things floral. As a mom of two, Jen knows what it means to juggle the chaos of everyday life while building a thriving business from the ground up. And today she's here to share how she makes it all work. So stay tuned, and here's our interview with Jen Gayden. All right. Oh my gosh, Jen, I'm so excited to see your dang face. It has been far too long. And this is the first time, Lauren, you're meeting Jen, even though you guys have both been parallel friends of mine for a while. So Jen, Lauren, Jen.
Yay, so glad to be here.
Yay! Yeah, so excited to talk with you, Jen, and meet you in almost real life.
Almost. We're going to count
Yes.
it as our official meeting.
And one reason I'm so excited about this is because I think Jen, like me, has done a few side hustles. Is kind of the queen of side hustles, I would say. So I guess to start, why don't you tell us about Vivian James and everything your current business does?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me here, y'all. I have to say one thing before we get started. I miss Lauren so much that I bought her house. So
She did buy my house. I'm like staring at the house that I like brought my daughter home in. Like it's so weird.
So I just had to
so
mention that,
weird.
get that out of the way, worlds colliding.
I love it.
She has a moment of like looking like this. It's not me. It's that I'm in her.
It's my house. I'm not gonna lie, I miss the millennial gray. My whole house in Colorado is like orange cedar, and so like I miss those floors and those walls so much.
And I've been to that house when it was Lauren's house many a time. So it's so funny for me too seeing it. And it looks totally different.
I know, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I keep like collecting friends that have known Lauren, like us separately, and it's just very, very funny.
Yeah.
So I love it. But anyways, Vivian James, I started about a year and a half ago. I work as a florist, as an event planner, and then also doing photography, which I have a background in. So it's those three things under one umbrella, and the name comes after my children. So I have Gavin and Caroline, 11 and 8, and it's their middle names because Gavin and Caroline Events didn't have the same thing to it.
Right. Vivian James definitely sounds like
it's so cute.
Elite.
Yes, I was hoping it posh, but still accessible, a little bit sentimental. And then Caroline is named after my grandmother, and she was very artsy and in the flower world. So that kind of trickles down from my mom's side. And I just kind of grew up around flowers, and I've always had a huge passion for them, but it's only been recently that I've really, dove in headfirst, so to speak.
That's awesome. So tell me, Lauren probably already knows, so I guess I'll ask, what were you doing before? Tell me about your before life.
Which she says, which
thing?
Like, I don't even know what I was.
I know, because like, what was your major? I know that. Political science?
No, English, believe it or
English.
not. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just kind of random. But I've done a little bit of everything. I definitely have specialized with working with high risk multiples, and then also kind of just in the nanny world. So that's what I did when I first got out of college. I moved to Boston, and I thought, I'll just work in like the infant room in a daycare because babies have my heart as well. And then I moved to Boston, and I was like, I can't afford to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you say high risk infants, were you like in nursing or like with childcare or?
Yeah, kind of childcare, and then like doula agency. So like I would do the postpartum care mostly. So not an RN, I wish, but ended up with a high risk like multi like preemies and then micro preemies. So
oh my gosh.
Multiple sets of twins over the years. So that was all my kiddos. So I was kind of in that world. And then when I moved to DC, the family I was working for at the time took political appointments. That brought me to DC. I'm a Virginia girl originally, so that was closer to home.
So I'm sorry, I keep interrupting you, Jen. Did the clients that took political appointments, are there any we would know? Are they like big political?
I know, she will never sign NDAs. She won't tell me anything, and it drives me crazy.
You can just tell us if it's somebody we would know, like if it's
You would know. You would know maybe the guy, but it would be more like if you were on the Hill at the time. So
cool. Okay, sorry to derail you, but I just had to ask.
No.
Please
it's
continue.
Totally fine. There's a whole nother story there for another day.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I'm gonna do a whole episode just on the things you can't tell me from your nanny days.
Nanny life.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It would be one of those things where let me not get myself in trouble. But
I mean, you could change your name and wear a mask.
We could. Filter on, it'll be great.
Yeah.
Let me see. So then got back into photography. I ended up taking a break because they ended up moving after DC out to the Midwest, and that wasn't, which is fine, but that wasn't for me. So I ended up going full time into photography. I'd always done it sort of on the side, and then I ended up working and managing a studio, and then working for a great outfit called Documentary Associates that's still based in DC.
Cool.
And the reason I bring that up is because the owner, Tom Van Veen, his sister Katie was the florist. So they were kind of had this whole wedding empire. So that's when I first got kind of linked into that world and got to, learn from her, learn from him, and kind of all the inner workings of what goes into event planning in all the different spokes. So that's
cool. So were you shooting weddings at the time?
Mm-hmm. Weddings. And then in the studio, it was newborns, families, lots of corporate headshots and things like that. So it was nice because it kind of scratched all those different parts of my brain, right? Like it's just one of those things where I am very, very neurospicy. So I like to say like the ADHD is strong if you can't tell already. And so I like to have lots of different things to just keep me busy.
Well, because I think when I met you, you were doing social media for a realtor.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I tried to remember if you also had another job at that time, but then more recently you did get a nanny position more recently that I think she's about to age out, right? So you're also doing that currently still, right?
Yeah, well, and I help kind of with their family empire as well, if you will. Like the grandfather has Airbnb properties, so I'll help in that vein. The dad is in marketing, so I help with social media with that company, and then I help run events outside of, helping with the little one, kind of more like a personal assistant where I help the mom who's a VP of a tech company. Okay. I help execute her events. So it's really been nice because it's kind of through all these different opportunities, I've met a lot of amazing people, and it sort of opens doors that I didn't know were there. Yeah. So kind of through the different groups that I'm involved in, it's really given me a lot of, just a chance to spread my wings and get my feet wet and get more confident in these new areas. So it's been good. It's been really good.
So you were also, from what I recall, you were teaching English to children in China when I met you.
Yes.
And so I'm like, I guess that taps back into your childcare and
the English
working with younger. Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yep. So did that for years. I still have one private client that sort of changed during the pandemic where things were at odds. With the administration at the time and what was allowed. So for a bit, all Western teachers were outlawed. And so there was just that moment, like you said, where it was like, I don't know, I'd say midlife crisis because I plan to make triple digits. But what am I doing with my life? My kids are older, I love helping with other kiddos. I love the flexibility of it, but they do continually age out as they should, right? They end up going to school or, just their needs are different and the family needs are different, just like they are for us as moms, as our kids age. So I don't know. One thing I always go back to is I love to celebrate. I love events. I love to be around happy occasions. I love people.
By this, I mean, when she said I love to celebrate, like the fact that you bought my house, I don't know where you're storing all the things. Like, how many Christmas trees do you have?
Ooh, I cut down. I'm getting like 9 now.
And 9? How tall is the tallest one?
Big Bertha is a 20-footer.
But you do have great high ceilings there. Do you?
Big Bertha lives in this corner. Maybe I can, has to be back and we'll do a tour for all the
children. But it's not just Christmas. Like, I mean, she goes all out for Easter, for Valentine's Day. Like, she celebrates her kids' birthdays and obviously everyone does, but not in the way you do. And so like that was fun when I got into doing cakes. Like she was my number one client because she was celebrating literally everything. She was like, I need an Easter cake. I need Gavin's cake. So it was like, I don't know. It's just like she's not kidding. Like she celebrates everything. And that's like one of the things I love about you is you're so upbeat and positive and just celebratory, not of just holidays, but of people. You were like my number one cheerleader back when I was doing cakes, and you sat there through many of my caking trials and tribulations. So you were there for a lot of it. So
counter, right here.
I know, right there at that counter.
I would come over into the wee hours. I remember for your first fondant cake that turned out beautifully, and I would just eat vats of buttercream and just chat.
And that first fondant cake was for my friend Hillary that Jen did not know. And then recently Jen threw a bouquet making class. Was that what it was?
Flower arranging centerpiece party.
And Hillary happened to go to it. And then was like, somehow they realized that I was the friend in common. And now Hillary sent me a photo the other day. She's like, from cakes to flowers, she's picking up at my old house to get flowers there. And I'm like, this is so weird.
So funny.
It really is worlds colliding. I was instantly drawn to her. And then I don't even know how it came up that, somehow we just stumbled upon it. Cause I was like, I feel like I know you. Yeah. Like, I love your energy. Yeah. She's all pink. We both love pink and flowers and things. And so she's been in for photo shoots with her boyfriend at the time. Now they're engaged. Picking up flowers for baby showers for a family member. And things. So
That's so cool.
uh,
So I'm so curious about, okay, so you were saying that you were kind of at this point where was that after you were teaching abroad, and then you were kind of like, okay, now what? And your nanny kids were aging out. Was that kind of when I guess
I
tell me more about that time.
Yeah, I would say honestly, I got involved with a charity group here. Well, it's technically a mom's group, but philanthropies that's got the two arms. So there's half, I'd say the moms with like the teenies focus on the play group, and then those of us that have older kids tend to end up in the philanthropy side, which I really love. And so there's about 300 of us. It's a pretty large group.
Oh, wow.
So what I love about it is we support a local charity, and through that I've met so many incredible people, both on the charity side and within the group. And so being around so many other like creatives and just powerful, I don't know if powerful is the word, but just successful, confident women really helped me like feel like I could start out on my own, because I didn't know anything about running a legit business. I remember reaching out to Lauren and being like, okay, so do I go the LLC route? Is that risky? Like, I don't know. Or do I just keep kind of winging it, because I've been fortunate. I feel like Lauren and I have the same, I don't know if it's a talent or energy in that vein, where things sort of present themselves and we'll kind of get into it. Like her cakes, she does a stunning job with her cakes, and she's self-taught, it's just one of those things where, when you're good at things, I think, if they come easily to you, it's sort of like, well, am I really good? Like, am I good enough to make a go of it? And then I think on the business side, for me, it's challenging too, because I'm blessed to have a large group of friends. And then when it comes to like friends and money or friends of friends, then it becomes a little tricky with like, I want to just like do and give everything, but if it's going to be a business that stays afloat,
you have to charge.
That little bit of like, at least for me, awkwardness, like, with flowers, there's quite a buy-in just up front for me,
So what's that like? So like, I was just talking to my sister-in-law, Allie, because she was in town, and she also started a floral business where it's called Saturday Stems, and she just does it. She only like has pickup and delivery on Saturdays, whatever. But I'm like, I'm so like just not in that world. What is the day in the life like? And let's say you're going to host, or like what's the majority of your business right now? Is it flowers? Is it the floral parties, or is it photography, or is it come in seasons? I know that was 25 questions at one time, but
that's my brain work, so it's perfect. Like, I would say it's definitely ebbs and flows. Like during the holidays, I was really busy with like the Christmas card shoots, right? Like that's the high season for me, photography wise, in the studio was, I'd say Christmas time and then Blue Bonnets. Those are my biggest plots for photography, and those literally just fell into my lap. I did shoot full time for years in DC, but then, when I got married and moved down here, we had babies right away, and I just kind of would only do it for family and friends versus all the time. But with the flowers, it's been awesome because I started working with some wineries in town, which was really nice.
Fun.
That's where I met Hillary, was at Two Brothers.
Cool.
And that was really, really fun because they were amazing. They have this room in the back where they have different things, whether it's a game night or different vendors come in. And I got to meet, I guess it was like 20 women from around town, and they had all just signed up, like not knowing who I am. It was kind of my first time doing it where it wasn't like friends of friends or, it was just all strangers to me. Ended up being a friend of a friend.
And did you promote it, or did the winery promote it, or how did you strangers find it?
Both, but I would say the winery had a much bigger following at the time. But that was really neat because I feel like it helped get the word out there. And then again, the charity GCS that I or the group that I'm with, they've been really, really supportive as well. There's another florist there who was super encouraging, and I wanted to make sure too, because I had been to some of her flower parties, and I said, look, I value your friendship and your mentorship and your expertise, and I want to make sure I'm not like stepping on any toes here. Because I don't want to ever sacrifice a friendship over business, And she was like, what did she say? Because I love it. Collaboration, not competition. She's like, we live in a huge area, she's like, I'm here to help. Like, you absolutely should do it. You have a gift, and please, the more the merrier. So I definitely want to give a shout out to Wesley. She's at Wesley Designs. She's amazing. And she's from California originally and has a thriving floral business as well. And she's been really, really kind to help me kind of navigate on this side of town. So I very much appreciate her guidance. But yeah, I would say it just depends on the season, the time of year. It's wedding season now. So I've been really lucky to work with some awesome brides. Spring and summer flowers are my personal favorite. And then I did have a lot of kind of Thanksgiving centerpiece, you know, fall. So it's ebbs and flows. I'm still figuring out kind of how it all goes, but it seems to be almost feast or famine in those two veins. I'm either busy with photography or busy with flowers. And so far they haven't coincided as much, which is good.
Okay, so like logistically, let's say a bride comes to you for you to do the flowers for her wedding.
Right.
What is that process? I assume you sit down first and figure out what the theme is or colors and then work in that. And then like, do they pay up front so you can afford it? Because that's got to be so much money. Like, how does this work? Well, and then transportation. Like, I don't understand any of it.
I know. Well, that's one thing too. Like, I'll use my most recent wedding as an example. Super, super kind family. Basically, we started off with like a consultation like this. I sort of explained my aesthetic. We talked budget because that's very important. And the bride, it was like showing me examples and texting and saying like, I just want something like small and simple. But then the bouquet was like this big. I was like, oh, that's not small. I'm more is more girl. So I was here for it, but I was like, I just need you to know that that's like a big bridal bouquet. So there'll be the price will be associated with it, not even in like a money-making way, just the actual cost of flowers.
Right.
Overhead is tricky.
I mean, how much of what you're doing, it sounds like probably is just so much education too, just educating the client on like what the scope of it is, what costs are. I mean, I think it's probably an industry that people are surprised often, I would imagine, like you said, or like what's the vision they have in their mind is not, doesn't mirror up with, especially when we're such a visual world. And to your point, there's like so many beautiful inspiration pictures and people might not always appreciate how much goes into that, thing that looks so simple or casual or like easy.
Right. Or just beautiful, right? I mean, I think that's the argument for flowers, especially fresh flowers. Like I love them truly, madly, deeply. But when you look at it like peonies, for example, if y'all are familiar with those, big, beautiful, it's peony season right now. It's a blink in the year. Right now here per stem at the wholesaler, they're $12 to $20 a stem here.
Oh my God.
So, you're talking one.
Jesus.
I remember because I got married on not to turn this into about my wedding story, but I got married on April 11th and I really wanted peonies and I loved peonies and was also in Dallas. And my florist was like, well, there's like a very narrow window and they're very expensive. And I was like, okay, well, maybe I don't need those.
No, they really are. There's certain ones. I mean, I feel like people know that orchids are pricey, right? Or certain flowers, but then there's other ones too that like you don't realize how.
Well, like I actually don't know what are the expensive ones? Like aside from peony, what's crazy expensive?
Oh my gosh, everything right now. I would say orchids are super high. Your certain high level roses, like your David Austin roses. There's all these branded roses.
Yeah,
right?
I wouldn't know.
I don't know how deep you want me to go into this, but it's certain specialty ones for sure. And then it also depends on the time of year.
Oh yeah, the season. Okay.
Because the season, like I imported Tweedia for this bride as a surprise. We had cut it initially for budget, but in her inspo, I was like, it was the only touch of blue minus the delphinium, which is like the tall blue stocking flower. Anyone that wants blue in the palette, it's always like, because it's pricey.
It's hard.
It's beautiful, but you are either dealing with hydrangea, which is absolutely gorgeous, but temperamental, like a toddler. And then your Tweedia, for example, you're importing from Holland and it's crazy.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So, a little bit goes a long way, but it's one of those things too, where I've learned quickly that I cover myself in the contract and most florists do, because otherwise you're going to end up with potentially a disappointed or angry client, which you don't. So you very much cover yourself and say, I'm going to use, as close to what I can to create your vision. And but we will allow for substitutions depending on if something comes in from Ecuador, for example, and has been smashed.
Right.
You're dealing with such a tight timeline when you're importing from all over the world. So it's one of those things where if something gets lost or goes missing, they have to trust in your kind of creative license and vision that you'll deliver something beautiful and fresh versus wilted or smashed or so. But thankfully, everyone I've worked with has been really, really wonderful. I mean, knock on some wood, but I've only so far, within almost 2 years of doing this, I guess, I've only replaced one centerpiece, and that was one from a floral class, and it had gone really, really well. It's just we were using peonies that were the fall peonies that were in season at the time, and I think we had done it like maybe the Monday before Thanksgiving, and the one or two of them had like dropped or shed, and it was for her family Thanksgiving celebration. And she had reached out to me, super kind, not upset at all, but just said, we had made them in physical pumpkins. And it was absolutely beautiful, but when you're working in like an actual organic pumpkin, it just
can absorb and
stems.
Yeah.
You know what? Totally fine, because we hadn't done a vessel inside, and I was like, I'll drop you off another end, because I still had a bunch of materials. Like, happy to do so, because I'd rather have her be happy and like she enjoyed the actual class experience, but I want it to look pretty for what she wanted it for too. So
and that's the hardest part when you're starting, is like, oh, these are all learning experiences for me too. So like
yes
like you probably didn't know to put a vessel inside that, and at the time, like, and so it's like that, because I remember at the very beginning you were talking to me like, how do I get my name out there, but also like not give it all away for free? And I'm like, that's hard. Because I was like, I think what I had recommended was like, do a Mother's Day photo shoot, just go out there for 1 hour, knock out a bunch of minis in 1 hour. And even if they're free or like heavily discounted, now your name's out there and people recommend you. So like, it sucks how much you have to give up for free at the beginning of starting a business, but it's the cost of like,
and then like you want to build relationships, right, with those customers, and like, you're building your brand and you're building the experience, and so it's also a crappy experience if you start at a lower rate and then you have to like increasing pricing, how you like communicate about that, or how you transition and people don't feel weird, or I haven't done it like you guys have, but that's such a tricky balance, I imagine.
It is a little bit tricky, and I think I'm still navigating how to do that with close friends, especially those that, tend to refer me over and over. I've been fortunate with my friend Brooke, for example, who I met through the league, to do corporate headshots for her husband. And then she referred me out for family shots for Bluebonnets. And then we're working together on a gala coming up. So it's one of those things where, or my friend Monty, she uses me for every PTA occasion, every private occasion. Like, these repeat customers are such an amazing asset, but I also want to make sure that they're getting something back. And they're like, you're giving us the product, and you're doing it in, a cost-effective way and last minute and everything, but I still feel like I need to do more. So it's one of those things where, I think with time and with growth, I'll get more used to that, but I am really grateful for those repeat customers. So.
But so with all of this, all these types of different events, like I know, like also this is something I struggled with, obviously, because of the cakes, was like, it's all on weekends. It's all Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like, how are you managing that with having 2 kids? I know you're very lucky to have your husband there too to help out, but like, how are you managing? Are you stressed out? Are you pulling your hair out like I am? Like, how are you doing it?
I would say, the kids being older has helped a lot. They're more independent. They do have bigger schedules, but they also know that I am the type of mom that I don't say no. I think it's genetic. Like, I just take on more and more and more until I like collapse my immune system. But that's another story.
Like, I just literally,
stops me externally. But Lauren knows. I love little like hospital cameos on vacay.
Exactly.
Happens to the best of us.
Right.
But I always bounce back. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think Greg is a really hands-on dad, which is wonderful. The trickiest was he happened to be out of town for the most recent wedding. And I I think the kids had birthday parties. There was like multiple things going on to where I actually called in for help from my neighbors. Cause it was one of those things where I'm like, okay, well, if I have them, with a sitter all day long, and then, I think they were going to have a sitter that evening. I was just having like mom guilt about it, but I had to be out in like an hour from here. It was just one of those things where it was, okay, I was feeling a little bit of the burn, so to speak, because I was making the flowers all the night before, assembling everything, making sure it was perfect. And then I was, storing them in a certain place, then loading them and then transporting them. And normally I have Greg in the mix or, a friend or someone else that will help me with the actual transport. So that was something too, where it was like, okay, this is a big scale to do with no one else here and being mom and everything like that. But I'm lucky to have a great support network here, even though I don't have any local family. I have friends that are like family. So just calling in favors and then returning the favor when someone else needs it. So I think it's just having each other's back and being a night owl.
Yeah.
3 hours when people
I'm like, are you a night owl or just an insomniac? Like I am.
It's that
once again
HD feeling.
I wanted to ask you about the business model you have in terms of kind of the wide range of offerings, like both obviously the floral side and the photography side. And I know, you mentioned event planning too. Like how did you come to that where you were like, I want to do all of it? And then like, how do you do all of it? Or are you still like figuring that out? I'm just kind of curious.
No, that's a great
that blend.
I would say I am still figuring it out. It's 3 of my very favorite things. And I thought about like, okay, is this going to be confusing? Because that's one thing, especially with florals, because it doesn't explicitly say it. It does in my whole tagline, but I mean, it's a mouthful if you say it all. So I usually just say Vivian James Events, but then I do a lot of work in the hashtags. How much that works, I don't know. And try to be a prolific poster. But I think because of my strong background and I was the most established in photography, that I didn't want to cut that out because people still associate me with that. And I still got a lot of joy out of it as well. And it's a great way to connect with people. And there's always given times of the year, whether it's, back to school or spring minis or bluebonnets down here, or certainly the Christmas card family portrait season, that people are going to want that. And I ended up getting referrals anyways. So I thought, well, let me keep that in there because I enjoy it and it comes naturally to me and, I'm trained in it. And then with florals, I think it's been more, initially it was more of an effort to kind of get my name out there and explain what I was doing and figure out the pricing. But I'm grateful that I figured it out early on. And then as things have started to organically pick up and come to me, I had worked out some of the kinks where in the beginning I was like, okay, I underestimated like how long this would take me. Or one of my first big events that I did for a corporate client, it was, I think, 14 centerpieces just for a corporate party. But they had a large budget. So it was absolutely beautiful. I had rented a studio and cooler space, like the whole nine.
Just say like the logistics. I'm still confused at how are you transporting? I just don't because you don't have a
minivan.
Flower van. Okay, you have a minivan.
Monster on Wheels has taken it, I'll tell you, because I have learned the hard way the amount. Actually, Greg the other day was like, I'm vacuuming literal mold out of the back. So that's not here yet, but like there's a peg system that is on the way. And it's basically, it's really weird. If you look it up, not that you guys need to, but transport for a home-based florist, and really for any florist, is a whole thing because they are really delicate. And it's one of those things where even if you're not transporting within the vessel, like even when I go pick up, $2,000 worth of flowers in buckets, they are dumping they're all top heavy. Right? So it's been a experience, but that's where the old van is a good asset.
Okay.
That's amazing. Yeah. So they have like systems for holding them basically like in the back of like a van or whatever. Like,
it sounds weird. It's like this pegged mat and then it's like deals with PVC pipes, but that way you can adjust it. So whether you're doing a huge loose arrangement or whether you're transporting in buckets or coolers, because I was using the long floral boxes that people use a lot.
Yeah.
But you don't get to, it's not very like sustainable because once they get wet, they fall apart. And there's a lot of mess that I think people don't realize. Well, same with cakes, like behind the scene, everything over here. I think Lauren commented, she was like, oh, that floor used to be covered in powdered sugar.
Yeah, she like showed
It's
Yeah,
everywhere.
she like showed her a picture of the counter, and it had like stems and leaves and
Leaves.
just like shit everywhere. And I was like, that used to be pieces of fondant and powdered sugar and just smeared butter all over. So like,
Everywhere.
I
Yeah.
love that house is seeing another iteration of just creativity in there.
Yes,
Oh
this
my
house
gosh.
creatives, I
That's
think.
so funny.
That's
Okay,
so
so if
cool.
you like, is there one of the three, photography, floral, or events? Is there one you lean toward, or have it more of what if you had to pick one to keep going, and you want to make like invest into one?
Yeah.
Would it be flowers or you?
It would be flowers.
Okay.
Yeah. Flowers
Yeah.
truly, like, I have a emotional connection to flowers. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's just from my upbringing, but I think that's one thing. I mean, obviously I want the business to be successful and around hopefully forever, but if I had to, I mean, I'm a documenter, so I'm always going to take pictures on my
Right.
own. But what really brings me joy is working with flowers day in and day out. And it's a great excuse just to have them in my own home, because I can also
Right.
go, it's for marketing,
Yeah.
whatever it is, while I'm putting something fabulous together.
Yeah.
But I think, yes, I love them all. And
Yeah.
I'm grateful to get to do them all. But
Yeah.
I think if I had to pick one and focus on one, it would be flowers for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm so curious, like, I think it's so cool how you have turned these things that you really love into business. And it sounds like you've made a lot of really great connections along the way and friendships. But like, how do you dive into things that, you mentioned, like, I have no idea how to, should I set up an LLC? Like, where do I even start? How do I do this?
Right.
How do you overcome that sense of like, I don't even know what I
Imposter
don't
syndrome.
know, and like
Yeah.
just maybe the overwhelm. I just imagine that's so
Well, and
overwhelming
having a
in the beginning.
contract, like the contract
Yeah,
you
like
have to have for
writing
Yeah.
up contracts, and
Yeah.
all of that. Like, what's your looking back on it now? Like, what do you think was the thing that most, led you to be able to do all of that, or to kind of figure it out?
That is a great question. I think having a supportive network around me and people encouraging me and saying, like, you can do this. Like, you were, I don't want to say meant to do this, because that sounds a little obnoxious, but they're like, we know that you will do a good job because you put your heart into everything that you do. And, if you fail, you fail. Like, it's better to try it and see how it goes. And, I reached out to the women in my life too and said, well, like, what do you think? Do you, and then to Lauren, like, how do I do this business side? And we ended up, I think, doing legal Zoom, and I mean, God bless Chat GPT for the
I know, right?
For
It's
real.
one of those things where I was like, do,
Yeah, yeah.
like, what do we need to do?
Make me a contract that saves my
Exactly.
ass in every scenario. Yeah.
Right. But I mean, I think too, some of it is just being an extrovert or actually enjoying working with people. Like, I love obviously to talk, but also just to meet new people, to make those connections. And I also I like making people's vision come true.
Yeah.
And then also it's really fun to work with people who have a different aesthetic than I do. I'm a more over the top girl. But obviously, if you're doing something for bereavement or something for corporate or something in a palette, maybe that's neutrals. Like, I'm a very like bright, colorful person in my own life. I lean to a lot of bright, over the top, large things. Whereas when I get someone that has a very, like my boss, who's a good friend, a simple and clean and elegant aesthetic, it allows me to branch out in a way that I wouldn't normally on my own. So I think it keeps that creative part of my soul fulfilled. But yeah, I think really just having an encouraging network. Obviously, my family's very supportive. My parents have been great encouragements as well. So it's a learning process, but I'm just very lucky to have really kind and supportive people around me. It's trial and error, really. I mean, I think at this point, probably the biggest errors I've made is undercharging, but that's something, being kind of a baby business or a business that, like, that's part of it, right? As you build, it wouldn't be appropriate for me to right out of the gate be like, okay, let me charge you Annie Leibovitz prices for portrait.
Right.
And the same for flowers. There's obviously a bigger investment beyond just labor with the actual flower price up front. And I think, Lauren, I never answered that when we trailed off in the beginning, but that's something too that I found really interesting, is the flower cost ebbs and flows. So it's very much like the market. Like, it's not a static price. So there was, I think it was stock, which is a certain type of flower, had some sort of pest or something that hit, I think it was Holland based. Anyways, I don't want to quote the wrong place, but a bunch of it was wiped out. So there was a shortage. So stock prices, which are usually very accessible, went through the roof, and it was really hard to get stock for a while. So there's random things, since it is like based out of agriculture, where things get wiped out, or a crop has a tough year. Well, that's going to trickle down, or even right before Mother's Day. That's the huge holiday I forgot for flowers to mention. I had a bunch of pop-up floral bars and orders, which was wonderful. But I had put in for the wedding estimate, because this wedding was the 17th, and they said, well, we're going to have to quote you on, what was it? Ranunculus, I guess. And they're like, whew, when they saw the price, they're like, you may want to substitute here, because this one bunch of 10 stems is coming in at 150 wholesale, just for the one bunch of 10 stems. And this normally would be, 30. So it was way through the roof, but it's such in demand for Mother's Day. And thankfully went back down, so I didn't have to be like, here's one stem for your bouquet. But that's something too that when I first got started, I didn't realize quite how much math or tracking the individual flowers would be part of it. But thankfully I've learned and work with really good wholesalers and vendors that have really educated and long-term buyers that can help seek stuff out. And
that's like these are like surprising hidden costs and things that I wouldn't have thought of. So I'm trying to think, like, if anyone else was wanting to start, I don't think anyone have the balls to do all three like you do, but like if they wanted to start like a photography business, what are the upfront costs? Obviously equipment, which you already owned a lot of it. I don't know if you had to like upgrade some, but then it's like studio time. What else? Let's start with photography. If you were starting a photography business, what are some costs you need to consider before launching, I guess?
Before launching for photography, definitely gear. That's one thing that's ever changing. It's like for the better and for the worse, right? Because our phones are so sophisticated now. I'd be lying if I said I didn't often grab that first, right? It's like if I'm going to see something cute that my kids or my kids or friends are doing, I'm not, whipping out the SLR. It's on my phone. So that's one thing, is there's the gear is always changing, and you do have to upgrade. Lenses tend to last for a really long time, but there's, the upfront cost of a proper camera, and then whether or not you're going to shoot natural light or studio. Like I have, all the gear that I take with me if I'm going to someone's house. There's flashes, there's liability. If you're going to shoot little children, I'd say especially newborns or weddings, I used to carry, 6 figures in liability insurance, because if your gear messes up and you miss the kiss shot, you can have, I don't even say a bridezilla, because that would be disappointing for anyone, but you can get sued. So that's where like belonging to, Professional Photographers of America, PPA, is important. If you're doing that full time, just to cover yourself is really, really a good idea. Ditto if you're going to work with tiny babies, you want to be covered, and obviously, just be careful. But really, for photography, it's your expertise, and then your back end editing. I tend to be a classic overshooter. Again, a more is more girl, so I'd rather take 10 of the same shot and have options. Whereas back when I was shooting full-time, you really hone that in, because editing's where you lose ground on the back. If you're going to thousands of pictures, you're like,
you're like, I did not charge enough hourly for this.
Right.
Well, and I myself, right? So I learned that quickly. It's like, stop clicking, or I'd figure out who to cater to. Let's be honest, it's 9 times out of 10 the women. It's like my Christmas shoot, I'm looking at me first, and then the kids. His eyes are open,
like, they look fine.
They're fine. They're great.
Funny.
But really, and just like your Photoshop, your Lightroom, website, because people expect a gallery and to be able to
that makes sense.
Purchase. I personally don't do printing. I used to when I was full-time in the studio in DC. We did all the products and the framing and everything, but that's a whole nother animal. So I personally just work in digital for the photography side, which is nice. So that would be mostly it, and then just figuring out your your price points, and then whether or not you're going to go to workshops and network that way.
How to promote yourself. Because I know it's the hardest. So hard at the beginning of any business is just promoting yourself.
Yes.
Right.
Well, is super saturated too. So I think that's it. Like, figuring out what type or what you're interested in or what you're really, there's a lot of photographers, there's family photographers, there's corporate. It's like, where do you want to hone in? And brand photography. There's so many different angles you can do.
Yeah. How long, I'm curious, like for both of those industries too, when Lauren was asking about upfront costs, I was also thinking about like, maybe this is true. It seems like it would be true in all of these areas that you might to like be a second shooter or be an apprentice or like assist for a little while before you kind of go out on your own. Did you have that experience? Or I'm just curious how that I've had friends who have done that both in photography, like been a second shooter for a while, like worked their way up to that. And then same with in floral, like assisted.
100%. Yes. I was very lucky to do both. So I was with photography, that was back in, I'm trying to think, like 2005, I think, where I went full time. And I was lucky that it was a new studio. So I got sent up to New York and like trained from the ground up with their equipment and everything. And then this was then I'm back to DC. So I was really invested in their like product and how they did it and everything. So they had a lot of on the job training. And then I worked for the wedding documentary associates group on the side, and they were incredible at kind of mentoring me and, explaining how everything works. I got to use much higher level gear with them and get that kind of boots on the ground training, both in floral and event planning and in the photography space. So since it was a family business for them and I connected with each kind of branch of it, with Katie, I got to see more of the floral and the event planning side. And then with Tom and Ashley on the photography side, I was a second shooter for them for years, and then went out on my own there. So
that's kind of a perfect opportunity to really get to like do all of it and learn all of it.
Yeah,
it was like, how far are you from needing a second shooter or an assistant? Like, I feel like the things that you're doing stresses me out to think about doing any of that by myself.
I know, right? Well, we'll see. I hope it's a problem. It'd be a good that way. I mean, the dream, honestly, which I want to put it out into existence, but I don't know how close I am to it, would be to have some sort of actual space that I could have a dedicated flower cooler will be what I need first. I'm debating. I mean, our yard, our collaborative yard back here.
We have a huge yard.
A huge yard. Yes,
we do.
It is huge.
Fill your house too. So I am like growing more flowers out there. I'm not to the, like, I source some, but by no means am I like a flower farm. That would be incredible. But I need to not be a farmer. I need to just figure out what I'm doing. But I would love to have like a dedicated space where I could basically have an event space, have a floral cooler, and a studio that I could mess up that wouldn't be this kitchen.
You need a massive shoe shed out there.
Yes. So I'm like,
that corner would be it. You could do it.
Yeah.
I could, but then it's like, you've got HOA red tape. It's like,
I
think if
I
was
call it a pool house. I think you're allowed to.
Plus, if you're gonna do flowers, it's got to be like AC, right? Yeah. Like you have to have it.
Like I can DIY it, but then part of me is like, well, I'd love to have a brick and mortar, actual space where I could host events, where I could, like a proper one to go to, but it's just the risk level is really high there, and with the current economy and administration,
a lot.
Being too political. But I think for now I'm enjoying being home based, but I hope to, like, if things continue to grow, then I'll have to make some decisions on what that looks like and whether it means to continue to do all those things together, or whether it's hone in maybe just on the floral and then seasons where photography is busy and
so,
and then have the dedicated event space versus the planning.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I love that you have that vision for like the goal, the end goal, like the future. I think is really fun. Yeah. So Lauren mentioned that you do fun like floral like parties where people get together and like you do some like some teaching. Is that tell us about those? That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Or like how you came up with that idea or started it. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're fine. Well, it's not my original idea, so I have to go on brand and say that, but it's like the pop-up floral bars. So you've probably seen them on TikTok or Instagram if you're in, I mean, I know everyone's algorithm is different, but basically I invested in a floral stand. So essentially, think pretty with all the florals like spilling out, right? So essentially what the floral classes are is I bring the pop-up floral bar where it's usually designer's choice unless it's a very specific, group or holiday palette. But whatever the freshest flowers are, there's 12 different buckets or more if it's a bigger group. And then so I bring everything, I bring the shears, I bring the different vessels that we're using, whether it's pumpkins, we'll get back to that, or actual vases, or whether I'm teaching how to make like a corsage, right? Or something, or just a hand-tied bouquet, whatever the skill is. I bring all the materials, I set up either in someone's home, or it could be for a church group, it could be at a winery, or a corporate space, whatever that looks like. I've done birthday parties. I did a special needs Girl Scout troop, which was precious. It was the cutest thing. They earned their like how to make a floral bouquet
That's
patch.
cute.
Cute.
They were so sweet.
Oh my gosh.
But,
Did they have their own patch for it? I would be really
patch. I
excited
was
about
so
that.
cheery. And they were so enthusiastic and like actually wanted to learn, which was darling. But anyway, so I'll bring the stuff, and then depending on like the interest, like the one that Hillary was at and at the winery with, I think it was about 22, 23 women in the community. They were incredible because I could tell basically like who was there to drink and have a good time.
Yeah.
And who was there to learn and who had expertise in it and just was looking for a fun activity, right?
Yeah.
Because all the skill levels would be the same if you were doing cake decorating.
Yeah.
Like who's here to eat and chat? Who's here to like try to learn and who already knows what they're doing. Like there's always a variety. And so with that, it's fun because you get to connect with the different people. So there were a few older women that like made their stuff was stunning. I'm like, y'all don't need any help. They're like, no, we're just enjoying learning tips. And then there's another lady that was like completely sloshed and was like, just
That would be me. That would be me. I would just be stabbed. This one looks great. This one looks
good.
I made the worst.
We don't really care. We're just here for the wine and to take the flowers. And the best was one girl was like, I hate flowers. And I thought she was joking. It was one of Hillary's friends.
Yeah.
And I was like,
wait, which friend? Which friend? You know?
She just got
I think I
married.
know them.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a bad thing though, because I was like, what? I was like, oh, haha. She's like, no, I literally hate flowers. And I was sort of like, I don't know where to go. She's like, well, you get the gold star because you're still here. And still
you did it.
Yeah.
But she was giving him, I think, to her mom, and she was like, "Oh, my mom loves flowers." So I was like, "Well, that's actually very
Really
sweet."
sweet.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Playing with your friends, even though flowers aren't your thing. So it was I was like, "Well,
That's
see,
funny.
you can pay for it, even if you despise flowers. You can come have a good time."
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And cheer someone else up. But yeah, the education part, just basically, depending on whether the group really wants to like be quiet and ask questions, or if it's more just a social activity.
So party vibe. Yeah.
I have a baby shower coming up where I think there's 75 people. So with that, you're not going to have a captive audience. It's more going to be people who come up and you're going to help like make posy size bouquets with them. Whereas with that smaller class, anywhere from 10 to 20, you can get into like flower care and how to arrange and the different rules and things like that. So it just depends. That's another thing too, where you just kind of customize or tailor it to the group. And if they're interested and they want to learn more, you kind of teach more. If not, then you're there to just sort of, come in and out as people need your help or have a question.
That's cool.
So cool.
That's great.
Oh man.
And I guess you would hope that could be a lead generator too, right? With those people that are coming to you, like would keep you in mind when they have a floral need or an event need.
Absolutely. Well, and I have gotten repeat business from those, which is really nice. So whether it's for a baptism or a baby shower or a bridal shower. So that's been really nice.
That's awesome. Lauren, I feel like you should do like cake decorating.
Well, I did once with you. Remember with
fun?
you? I did it with Jen and I don't remember who else we had together, but we did like a mini
Like a
vacation
cupcake or something?
Weren't we in Fredericksburg? Weren't we? It was your cat's birthday?
That's
or
right. It was someone's birthday, and I remember we're on vacation, and I brought they were like 4-inch cakes or something. I can't remember. And we all did. And I remember you made like a floral one. You made a what was that, a carnation? I don't remember what style it was now. But you made a floral cake, and I was like, and so it's the same thing where like I would love to do that. I think it sounds so fun. The upfront cost of having, you know, a turntable for each person, the frosting, you know, the frosting spatulas for each person. Like I just think about the costs of all the like materials I would need up front.
100%. Well, that's one thing I'll say though with like for the floral party. I'm glad you said that. Like they don't take home the clippers or anything. They use them while they're there. They do take the, you know, vessel home.
The vessel.
So, and the flower arrangement in itself, but they don't take home like the things that we use, whether it's chicken wire or floral tape or shears or whatever that looks like.
At least that stuff would be like a one-time kind of investment to like do it. And I'm sure over time you'd have to maintain some of that stuff and replace it or whatever. But
For sure. But there's things that you can like, again, buy wholesale or bulk sale, which has been really nice. So,
well, I feel like we have talked your ear off about all the things.
I can ask her the one last question.
Oh yeah, do it.
From our list that I don't think we actually asked. I think.
I know.
Oh yeah, I didn't even look
checking.
at the list.
I'm being studious.
I didn't look.
Okay, maybe we kind of talked about this, but if you were like talking to other moms who kind of wanted to go into business or be entrepreneurs or start their own thing, like what advice would you give them? Whether they wanted to get into your business, you know, into floral or into photography, or maybe even something different, like having been through it yourself and where you're at now, what advice would you have?
That's a great question. I would definitely say research it. And then, like you said, kind of get your feet wet if you can with someone that's in that industry, whether it's a mentor, whether it's even someone in town. I would just say go and ask people in that industry. And typically that's where Wesley was really amazing for me, because I could say, okay, what wholesalers should you use, or what do you recommend, or what is kind of the bottom line in terms of number of people that it's worth doing something for, you know, because I'm a yes person. I don't like to turn people away, but she's like, well, no, sometimes you have to say no if there's, you know, if it's not going to be
worth it.
Worth your time. Or with flowers, she was very helpful where she was like, look, you're not going to make money on one arrangement. You're just not like you know, if you're really putting your time, money, effort, transport, all that into it, you have to be doing it in bigger quantities to have it, you know, be more than break even or lose. So I think just understanding the investment on all levels, not just financial, but your time. Is it something you really love? Is it something that you're looking to do to support yourself full time? That's something too that I think about a lot, because like Lauren had mentioned earlier, you know, I'm used to making my own money, but I'm also very fortunate that Greg, my husband, is the breadwinner. So that gives me some more wiggle to where, you know, I've always worked, I always intend to work, but I do have a bit of a safety net there. So if all of a sudden, you know, if his job was gone tomorrow, could we realistically make it on flowers? Not at this moment in time. You know, that would have to be a whole different restructure to where, you know, the stakes would be much higher. So I am fortunate there, but I would just say talk with people in whichever industry that it is, and just really make sure you understand what goes into it, but also that you're truly passionate about it. I think that's the thing that like I'm forever taking pictures of flowers, smelling flowers, buying flowers. I mean, Lauren knows we travel together a lot, and it's like, where's Jen? Oh, she's in a bush over there. You know?
She's climbing someone's fence. I don't know who it is.
Exactly.
You
know, I buy flowers even on vacation just because they make me happy. You know, so it's one of those things where it's a part of my life, so it doesn't feel like work either. And a lot of, you know, same with connecting or celebrating or planning events, whether they're happy or sad, whatever that is. It's just, I enjoy doing it. So I think just doing something that you love and then connecting with people that are in that industry and asking them their advice always helps.
Lauren, do you have any other questions for Jen?
No, I know her too well. I know. Like I know too much.
Yes. Should we move to rapid fire?
Do rapid fire? Yeah.
Yeah. Unless there's anything else, Jen, you like want to talk about that you think that we didn't.
I'll talk you to death. This has been great. I hope you'll come back. I love this opportunity.
All right, Lauren, do you want to introduce our rapid fire game?
Okay, so we're trying this new segment, and
you're our guinea pig.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Jen, for being our first. So a new segment. It's called Answer First, Explain Later. So the idea is We're just going to have some rapid fire questions. Try to answer. None of them are hard, I don't think. And don't feel like don't feel like you have to explain necessarily.
All right.
Okay. So we'll see how this goes. All right. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Okay.
All day long.
I think you said that even
Yeah,
earlier
she
when we
did.
were talking. So funny.
Character
Foreshadowing.
trait.
Yeah, very much a night owl.
Okay, what's your irrational fear?
Ooh. Drowning popped in my head. I don't know.
Not dying of anaphylactic shock.
There's that. Yeah. Maybe.
It's like
Maybe
a real
that's
fear
rational
for you.
fear,
Yeah,
though.
you're right. That's rational. You're right.
Sure, yes.
Okay. Who is your dream dinner guest, living or dead?
Is it terrible if I say Brad Pitt?
No.
No.
I want to be there at that dinner.
So pretty.
Yeah. Do you see his new photos for that?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Oh, the F1 movie? Is that?
Oh my. Yes.
Yeah. How old is he?
Jesus. It doesn't
He
even
is
matter.
but he's
He's
still so-
ageless.
Yeah.
He's ageless.
Okay. First concert ever.
Ooh, this is good. Goo Goo Dolls, No Doubt, and Bush.
Oh, that's
That'd be great.
good. Man.
Ooh, that is a good one.
Night
Okay.
please.
Ooh. What is your go-to karaoke song?
A Lady Gaga Bad Romance.
Okay. That's good. What is what's one thing you refuse to share? Like item that you would want to
Ooh,
share with people?
anything chapstick, lip gloss, drink.
Okay.
It's a no for me, dog.
Cuties.
Yeah.
It's no for me. Love it. Love it. Okay. Most used emoji.
The two little pink hearts that go up.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
cute.
With the
I
line?
never used that one.
And the bouquet. The flower bouquet. Yeah. And the two little, like, not with the line, but it's like the little, like,
Little one and then two.
Just the two
little
next
heart.
to each other?
two little
That
pink
one.
hearts.
That's a good
Okay.
one. That's a good one.
What is the weirdest thing in your purse right now?
Oh, God. The weirdest thing in my
I mean, you
brain.
did just travel to New York, so you might have a lot of weird.
Oh, I'd have to look, honestly. Oh, I keep flossers. I don't know if that's weird, but
No,
I'm big
I
on
keep
floss.
those in my pocket. I have a pocket floss.
Yeah,
that
and then
stays
of
with
course
me.
all the sanitizer.
I always like.
Yeah.
I know it sounds so disgusting.
Yeah.
I keep one tucked into the thing on my phone. That's like basically my wallet.
No, I will floss my teeth at a stoplight. It's no
I
doubt.
have bags of them in the truck. I have bags.
Wait,
Yeah.
we have to pause. So, like an individual plastic flosser,
Yeah.
you keep it in your phone wallet?
Yeah. It's my emergency one.
No,
'Cause if you need it.
This is
like,
amazing.
I have ones in my car that I've used before.
Same. Okay. No, I was going to tell the story, but I won't because it's not for public consumption. I'll tell you
Okay.
off screen. Okay. Anyway.
Well, now everybody's so curious.
Yes,
Okay,
that-
your turn, Lauren.
It's really good.
Okay. Last one. When was the last time you felt really brave?
maybe starting this business. Let's go.
Yes,
with
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, and taking the leap to like actually do it and be official. That's
Yeah, official.
It's a good answer. Good answer.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, amazing.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Jen.
Thank you
It was so great to hear more about your business and how you got here and all of the things. It's really
Yeah.
amazing and
Well,
inspiring.
I super appreciate the opportunity. I adored talking with you guys. I could talk for 72 more hours.
I know. If you come visit me, I'll let you sit next to me and you can do a podcast with me together.
Yes.
Do a cake /
Oh, a cake floral class while you're in town.
Just saying.
Ooh, that'd be wild.
Lauren, you fly in too. It'll be world's
Yeah.
Yeah, just tell me the date, and I need another trip to Colorado anyway.
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's aim for fall.
Lovely.
Sold.
I'm down.
Lauren knows all.
Yeah.
I was her yes, that's why you're in my room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. I love
Thanks,
you. I'll
Jen.
see you soon, I hope.
I love you right back.
Oh, if anyone wants to follow you, do you want to
Yes.
just give a shout out to Vivian James'
thanks.
social media?
Yes, thank you. Yes. I'm on TikTok and then of course Instagram and Facebook as well. So just Instagram is Vivian James Events, same on Facebook, and then it has just a little extra hashtag. It's Petals, portraits, and parties. So you can find me there as well. And then on TikTok, I'm like, let me look.
I know. I'll try. And we can also
And
put this
we'll-
on.
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
the show
we'll
notes
put
and
all
stuff.
your links in the show notes too, so
Yeah.
if people want to
You're
find
the
you.
best. Yes, on TikTok it's just Jen-Vivian James Events.
Okay.
So, a million
Awesome.
handles. But yeah,
Yeah.
you can remember the Vivian James Events. And then the website as well is vivianjamesevents.com.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. All right. Bye.
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 Okay, that was Jen. That was so fun getting to know her and talk to her and learning a little bit more about her really incredible business. It's so
Yeah.
cool that
I
she
like
does all
didn't
of the things.
She does all the things. She always has. It's wild. I can't do
Yeah,
that, but I'm glad she
that's
can.
amazing. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Awesome. We'd love to hear from you guys what you thought. Give us some comments, email us. You can always send us a note at arewedoingthispod@gmail.com. Make sure you're following us on social if you're not already.
And
And what else?
next week is our
Yes.
Are We Obsessed episode. So we'll be coming to you with the latest products, TV shows. Spoiler alert, I have got to talk about Secret Lives of Mormon Lives with somebody,
Oh,
Mormon
yes.
Wives. Big fan. So yeah, we're talking
That's a good
about
one.
shows, products, and just what's on our mind for next week. So please come back and tune in. And yeah, again, talk to us on social media because it's so fun. We love to hear from you guys.
Yes, we want to hear from you. So definitely do it. And
That's
share with a
right.
friend if you
Yes.
enjoy any part of this episode.
Yeah.
Or if you just enjoy listening to us, we'd love for you to share. So
For sure.
thanks for listening.
All right. Until next time.
Until next time. Bye.
Bye.